Good day, everyone. This is Michael Farquharson. I want to invite you to another episode of our podcast for the St. Andrew Technical High School Alumni Association, the Canada chapter. Today on the podcast, we have two very esteemed guests. They're both in the medical field, and today we'll be having a discussion on men's mental health. As we know that too often men kind of, neglect to take care of themselves. And it seems to be that only when their significant other, their spouse or girlfriend really push them or nag them, then they really go and see a doctor. And when it comes to mental health, there are a lot of things that men keep on their minds. They don't verbalize it, but sometimes it can lead to adverse reaction on the part of the men. And we know that sometimes, especially in a black man's world, they say that black men are very, violent, and they're very aggressive and sometimes abusive. But this is not always the case, and there are always something that leads to that. And so we have, as I said, there are two guests today in the medical field. I'm going to introduce them as they come along. So we have Delroy Coleman, and Delroy is a former head boy of St. Andrews Technical High School, 92 to 93. And I must say, let me just let it be known, I was his deputy. So Delroy, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you.
And second, we have Christopher Chambers. He also known as Red Rice back in his days, known now as Jimmy D. Welcome, Christopher.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys. And so, as I said, so Delroy, let's start off with you. So I mentioned that you were a dead boy between 92 and 93. So when did you attend STATHS? What are some of the things that you learned at STATHS? Any teacher that you remember from back then? And what was life like for you at STATHS? If you can give us a quick summary, probably a minute or two.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. For me, STATS was great. See, you guys were Kingstonians. I'm from the country. I traveled from Holdover all the way to STATS for 3 years, and it was a wonderful experience. As a matter of fact, I was telling my son last night that the other night that his high school years are to be his best years of his life, because I have very, very fond memories of being a student at STATS. Getting up early in the mornings. I remember catching that 5:15 bus. And I used to reach STATS very early in the mornings, but it was good. I mean, the experience with you guys as students was good. The teachers, I must say, I remember, can't forget, I came in grade 8. You guys already gone to first form. I joined you guys in second form. So I had people like Miss Shepherd for chemistry. I remember our Spanish teachers, Miss Matthews and Miss Brown. I remember my first math teacher. I forgot his name. And of course, you can't forget my English teacher, Miss McCullough, who used to give us a hard and fun time. I've had good memories and my electrical teacher. What I had liked about STATS though was the idea of putting the technical subjects along with the grammar subjects. So it was a good combination. It's a very, very good. So you're able to do both the practical side of things and the academic side of things. It was really an awesome experience. And if I had to say in Jamaica, I would give every child that experience.
Just to wrap up that part, there were the current students at STATS. What would you say to them today, looking back at your time at STATS? What do you think they need to take from going to STATS today?
Take it seriously, because you will realize that it's funny, because I did electrical at STATS, you did engineering, and Jimmy, what did you do?
I did electrical. Yeah, I
None of
did
us is in
electrical. I
that.
didn't want to do electrical. I wanted to do accounting, but
None of us,
yeah, that was a
none of us is
different
in the
story.
field that we are. None of us in the
Yeah,
field that we did at STATS. But the thing is this:
exactly.
the curriculum was so rounded that when we
Hmm.
left, we had no
Oh yeah.
problem moving into any of the other fields. So I tell you this: enjoy the rounded curriculum you have, because you will find that you may not do electrical, you may not do engineering, you may not do the sciences, but when you put it all together in the end, it works for your benefit. So enjoy everything, absorb everything, learn everything, because everything will come in handy in the end.
All right, thank you, Delroy, for that. And I'm used to call you Jimmy D, so I don't think ever at Stats I call you Christopher at all, but we'll make it known.
Yeah,
So that
only the
was
teacher them call me Chris. Like most
exactly.
people call me Jimmy or Rice or whatever, you know.
Yeah, one of the nuggets here is that we're all
Mhm.
some for we attended stats at the same time, so
Yes.
that's the good thing about it.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, and your part,
Mhm.
how about your time at stats? What, as Delroy mentioned, as I asked, some of the takeaways, the teachers, the things that you look forward to doing, what you have learned being away from stats, and the
Yeah.
current student, what would you tell them about their time there at stats right now?
I would reiterate what Delroy just said. Don't waste the time, and don't take it for granted because it goes by so quickly. One of the things when I was going to stats, like for me, education wasn't really, the a big thing for me because I'm coming from a family background where, education wasn't like the biggest thing, you know. It was something so easy for me, so I was easily bored. And because of that, it kind of went undiagnosed then, unrecognized, not undiagnosed, but unrecognized by my family. My mom migrated, kind of left me with my grandma who was elderly at that time. So, it was a lot of kids, and I kind of just like take everything for granted back then. I wanted to really do, I did not like electrical. I wanted to do accounting. And interestingly, um, when I left the all-age school in River Park in the seventh grade, I took both the technical achievement and the ninth grade achievement. So I passed for St. Catherine also. So I was kind of trying to get into St. Catherine, but I already accepted stats with no regret. But the first year of stats was magical. Sir Isaac Henry was there, and it was a really magical place, And I saw myself evolve from that little, a little shy, little church boy, to someone that's more aware of things because of St. Andrew Technical. Even though I didn't really pay too much attention to my education while I was going to stats. Like Delroy said, they prepare you. And I recognized that once I migrated to the United States because I sailed through everything.
Mm-hmm.
College, everything, like everything seems so simple, and and that's when I kind of realized that, like I I could have done better instead of, the status quo. Or, I done so bad, them know I not know that life I really. But I think that is another conversation to go in. I don't want to segue into that
Yes.
conversation just as it. But my time at Stats, I met some lifelong friends, and it was an incredible experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I would do it again, but I would pay more attention in school.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I could add to that, we have always been classmates at Statue in the same time, or some of us
Hmm.
are turned 50 already.
Yeah.
Yes.
I won't call it a name. Some of us are
Got a few
going
more
to,
months to
Don't
go.
worry, don't worry, you're right behind. You're right behind me. October is just around the corner.
some
Wow.
of us are going to, so that tells you the long lasting bond and
Yeah.
friendship we have as
Yes.
brothers
Yes.
as Stats.
Yes. Hmm.
Jimmy D, the other part I wanted to ask you, I know most of some of our group know that you're
Hmm.
also an entertainer, and
Yes, sir.
by the name Jimmy D, you can Google him,
Hmm.
look him up online, and he has done several songs that are out there.
Hmm.
But I know there's most recently you had one that you pushed out. You want to give us an idea, the summary of the song, what the name, producer, and what's the lyrics about, what it's talking about?
I produce most of my stuff, but this song called Praises was one of my latest release. I co-produced it with a cousin of mine, Just Time Records. Praises is a song I have done, you know, for a while, and it's basically highlighting my 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 love for the creator, so I'm just sending out praises to the Most High, for for everything I've been through, because it's been a long journey, even though it's 49 short years, not 50 years. But
You're right there.
but
You're coming.
oh yeah, real fast stuff. But it seemed like a pretty long journey, and I know I still have a long road ahead of me. So I just wanted to send out praises, to the Most High, and do it in the way I know best how to do it, which is through music.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
So here you go, folks. Those are two of our distinguished alums that we are featuring. And we want to change segment right now, go into our second half. And really what we're here to talk about more than anything else is men's mental health. As Delroy said, he was a former head boy, but he's
Mhm.
also, in his professional life, he's a physician associate in medical oncology and internal medicine. And Jimmy D, Christopher Chambers, is
Mhm.
a paramedic. So both of them are professional in the medical industry. And so we wanted to, as men, we know that sometimes it's hard for us to talk about our mental health, especially with females, because we're basically built differently. Women might vocalize their concerns, their issues, while men may just internalize it, and sometimes it fosters negative reaction. But Delroy, if you want to take this question first, I just want to, in your experience, working in a hospital setting, what are some of the triggers you believe that cause mental health in men to take a negative turn? What are some of the things that you have seen?
As you said earlier, good afternoon again, everyone. Mental health triggers, first of all, it has to do, one, with our upbringing, two, the fact that also as men we don't talk, and three, what society expects from us can also play a role. Also today, how our society no longer value men as being men. Because if you notice the society we have, whether we like it or not, we place emphasis on a female society, and also, in my opinion, also, we sometimes are, I don't know, the masculine is like there's something wrong with being a man, is being masculine. And also, I know sometimes also we look at masculinity in a negative light. We always see masculinity as being fighting or drinking or, and those are the things also that can also trigger mental health because they come with negative. So some of the trigger, what I've seen in the hospitals, things that some of the men come in with is sometimes, let's start with the number one thing, family. Family can trigger mental health, especially when especially in the society we have today, when your teenagers are not doing what they're supposed to do. Also, in a situation also where, as you know, we are in North America. In cases of divorce and separation, most of the time the woman gets everything, so the man is left with nothing. And we have quite a few situations like that where basically the man wants to commit suicide. So one of the number one things for mental health for men is suicide. Next thing is alcohol. Alcohol is also big on the spectrum for men because many of us drink a lot. Another thing also is mood disorders. Okay, and this can be triggered by our job setting as well as our family. These can also trigger our jobs and our farms can also trigger mood disorders. Next thing is anxiety. We don't know what the future holds. If you come to work today, you hear that the company is going to shut down tomorrow. Okay? And especially if you have been working there for many years, you just bought a house, you just bought a car, your daughter is in college, these things right there and then your mental health is triggered. It can send you into drinking, can send you into depression, can send you end up in the hospital. And no, we may look at those from a person who have things, but how about men who don't have certain things like a family, a house, and a car, or any of those things? That can also trigger mental health. For example, talk about our age. Jimmy, almost there. Michael, you're all almost there, and I am there. At our age, what have you accomplished? Right? Because there are many of us who still don't own a home. We may not drive a car, may not have a family. You know what I'm saying? These things can also trigger mental health breakdown, especially when you look at your other friends and your other colleagues. These things can also trigger mental health breakdown. So that's basically. And I forgot to mention one thing: men who do drugs. Drugs is still a big thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Serious stuff. Jimmy, I'm just going to pivot to you a bit.
Yeah.
You're a paramedic. Some of the calls that you have responded to as a paramedic, and dealing with men and mental health issue. What are the other reactions to that?
It's a plethora of different causes as far as triggers goes. I think Delroy touched most of them. But when we really look at the true definition of a man, then you really understand why most of these stuff go on. Why men suffer in silence. You know, differently from women who are more, in tune to their emotions and feelings and stuff. As men, we are taught that we have to be tough and we have to do certain things. So that's why we internalize most of the stuff them that we go through, and then you usually don't see it until it reach boiling point. Men are very serious when it comes to um, like suicide and stuff like that. So if a man say I'm gonna commit suicide, more likely go in there and you're gonna find him dead. Men don't really show it until it's probably too late. Um, Also on the medical side, I see a lot of medical things, from the environment wise, as far as whatever environment you grew up in or you're living in, as far as drug abuse and alcoholism and stuff like that. But most of the time, when I see male patients with psychological emergencies, the triggers are usually based on relationship, al alcohol or drug abuse most of the time.
Michael, I'll also interject one thing here. So there's a new one thing here. There's a new thing now that we are seeing also. As you know, sickness is on the rise. I mean, it can be cardiac, it can be, and the big one now is cancer. So what we find now is also a lot of men, when they become diagnosed with these diseases, it's like you know what I'm saying? It's like, because as Jimmy pointed out, I'm a macho, I'm a man. So you don't expect to get, it's like we don't expect to get sick. And we don't have in the main everything in the back of our mind that, I am not here forever. Things can happen. I'm human. I'm frail. And we expect to, oh, my grandmother may have lived to 100, my father died at 102. You know what I'm saying? So we don't expect that I can get sick, especially if we are not taking care of ourselves. And when these happen now, it sends many of us into depression.
Yeah, as you
Yeah,
touch on.
can I
Go
add to
ahead.
that?
Yes,
I
go ahead.
feel like all right, like as a kid you feel invincible. I mean, you can do
Yes.
anything. You grow older and then this body of yours just start acting different. One day you get up and you just start hurting for no reason. You wonder, what go on. So, a lot of times I feel like because as men, I feel like we are um ill equipped to deal with emotions certain way, like certain emotions, because like I said, women are more in tune to their feelings and stuff, while men, we are always being taught, either by our peers, so a little bit of peer pressure there, um, you know, throughout throughout our development stages, rough it out, tough it out, run it out, be a man, either through played sports, or just around our peers, so we are really like disconnected from certain emotions because we don't really know how to feel. A man, people tell us a man is supposed to cry and have things, and
Yeah.
so basically you don't really know, how to feel. Like recently my father had his leg amputated, right? And this could have been avoided, but this man stayed, and every time I talk to him, he said, "Boy, I'm in a pain, but everything all right." It wasn't until, his wife, pulled me aside and said, I go around the corner just to go see him twist up and bend up in a pain. That's when we know, the severity of the situation, how serious everything I want. And if you talk to him now, he's very happy and joyous. Him now go tell me, he said, boy, we missed the leg. I'm ask him. I said, so how you feel, how you feel mentally, now that the leg is gone, and said, boy, I feel relieved. And him just leave it like this. Right. So we don't really know how to express ourselves emotionally. And some of us even sometimes when we, express ourselves and think society really look at me and say, sure, yeah, all
Mhm.
right, man. Just tough it out, run it out.
Mhm.
Everything good. As my football coach used to say, run it out.
Mhm.
And that's what we do until things start get broken, and that's when you see we um turn up at the doctor,
Right. So we kind of,
for certain stuff.
yeah, we tough it out until, you know,
We
the
can't do it no
Too
more.
late.
the option to try and correct it, it's no
Yeah.
longer there. Um,
Hmm.
so in terms of, so we noticed some of the triggers, but what I want to kind of go to is, what would you suggest to a man that probably doesn't have a close friend, nobody that he can confide in currently? What would one of the solutions or remedy be to have somebody that you can confide in, a man, somebody
That's
who, if you cry to, not gonna say, well, you're being like a girl, but somebody can connect with on a level to say, I'm looking out for you. You got my back. I got your back. As the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. Somebody like
Hmm.
that, they can go to me and say, you know what, I don't feel good today. I feel something isn't right. I mean, I don't want my wife to know. I don't want my kids to know. Would a man need a person like that they can confide in? Would you say that in your experience?
interesting.
uh,
You're doing this folk. It's interesting you're doing this podcast. Oh, sorry, Jimmy. You want to go first? No.
yeah. All right, so not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to be a man, but if you're concerned about the stigma of looking weak or looking soft, I hate to say it this way, um seek professional help.
Yes.
Because in the professional environment, there won't be any, not, someone professional will know, that I can't look down on this person or really passing the judgment, really, so seek professional help if you're worried about that, your pastor, a, a pastor of a church, you know and people like those that will help you to try to get some help you to navigate through it. If we speak about Jamaica, I know the infrastructure is the resources are pretty limited. So depending on it might be someone inside the rural areas that might not be able to um, you know um, take advantage of what resource they have there. Also, this also can be a medical, like an underlying symptom of a medical thing goes. So I will um I will encourage anyone who's starting to feel depressed out of nowhere, if anything, first get cleared medically and make sure that that is not something underlying going on, you know, that's causing you to feel this. Because I'm pretty sure Delroy can tell you that a lot of people, you know, a lot of patients that he sees who come in for psych don't always leave with a psychiatric diagnosis.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yes, it's funny. Many a times we look at depression and we think it's psychological or mental disorder, but sometimes, as you mentioned, it can be medical problems. But interesting, Michael, back to what you say. Now, one of the things I like about well, our generation, the way we grew up, some of us would torment each other and we would talk to each other, you know what I'm saying? But there's a certain bond that we grew up with at Stats. For example, I could always contact Michael, and over the years we find each other one by one. And that actually helps a lot. Having somebody to talk to. The thing is this, many of us when we left high school, everybody separate and go their own ways, and that was it. And that was actually, for some of us, that is actually a mental breakdown because we went our separate ways. Yeah, you're in your late teens, early 20s, and that's the prime of your life. And at that time, you think that you needed no one. But as you get older, you realize that, oh my God, I do need my friends. I do need somebody to talk to. And not having somebody to talk to, you better believe it, is at a detriment. Because as you get older, friends become important. It is important to talk, find somebody to sit and talk with. Even if you don't have problems, just talk about life and laugh over stuff that happened years ago. You know what I'm saying? It is something that is something. A few months ago in the presentation now, in Jamaica, we grew up as men. On a weekend, some of you Saturday, some of us is Sunday, the guys would gather in the area and go to a football match. Some of them ain't playing, and some of us will never get to roll a ball. But just to sit there and be in the companion of each other, you know what I'm saying? Just to watch the ball game, that is good enough for us.
That's
Of
true.
course, these days, some of us have computers, so that's the closest we get to a ball.
Right?
But that's those things are basically therapeutic. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Going to sit with your friend, talk with your friend, and those are the things that helps with relieving the mental pressure. Now, some men don't have that. Some men, of course, they come home and some of them don't even have a relationship with their family because, as we realize now, as our teenagers get older, they don't come and talk with us. So
It's
you
true.
come home in the evenings, what do? You may watch the news, you may read the paper, you fall asleep, but you need that social network of people you can call up and say, let's have a conversation, let's talk. And one of the things is happening that some men don't have that.
And one of the reasons why I brought that question because I know Delroy and I go back where I used to bug Delroy a lot,
Doesn't
right?
not a problem.
And even though since reconnect, how many decades ago now, we have that bond that you can call me, check up on me, I call him, check up on him. But also, it's important to when somebody call you, check up on you, ask them, how are you feeling, right?
Yes.
How is your mental health? Is there any issue, any concerns? And the reason why I said that because I have 3 kids, my wife and I have 3 kids, and sometimes the older one I'll ask, how are you feeling? And she's looking at me strange. Why am my dad asking me? I'm 21-year-old. I'm 21-year-old for one because I know that sometimes I want somebody to ask me that too because as men, we're not going to just come and say what we're feeling. But if
Yeah.
somebody probe, right, and asks that question, you might, well, what, not really feeling too great today. This is what I'm feeling. So that's the reason why I asked that question because I think it's important to have that person that you can confide in, and of course, seek professional medical health at all times. The person might not know, but at least they can say, what, if you're feeling such a way, go see a doctor. Book an appointment with a doctor. There may be something
Hmm.
that's going on that you're not aware of.
I'm happy you said that. Hold on a minute, Michael. I'm happy you said that because that was how someone, I remember that, I think it was a guy, that was how they knew he was having a heart attack. Somebody asked him how he was feeling, and he said he wasn't feeling so hot today. and the symptoms he came up, he described to the person. The person told him to go to the doctor and get checked out, and he was having and as you know, heart attack in men, you don't necessarily have that left-sided crushing feeling.
Mhm.
I'm saying that comes with most heart attacks that some people may feel. May just be some symptoms, some nausea, some sweating, you know what I'm
Indigestion,
saying?
yeah,
Indigestion. And of course,
heartburn,
if I'm
heartburn.
sweating, yeah, if I'm sweating, I'm not going to tell you, oh my God, I'm sweating. I'm saying I'm not going to come out like that. But just to find out what the person is feeling, those are so important, you know, that you can save a life by just checking on out for us, just asking that question.
That's true.
Mhm. And we're basically answering the question that I had to ask. So some of the remedies we can um, take to kind of diagnose mental health at the time and offer solutions. Jimmy, I want to touch you had mentioned men like to play sports and do these things as one way of
Hmm.
not dealing with their mental health issues. But
Hmm.
how about sports? You get to sweat, run over the guys. Isn't that kind of therapeutic in its sense? So you
Of
kind of
course.
Yes.
away from that reality. Maybe you lost your job, you don't have the money to pay the bills, but at least you're with the guys, and so you're temporarily relieved. Then, how about that? What would you say in terms of that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like physical activity, like um, the older I get, the more I see the importance of staying active, um, as far as the medical side and the mental side of things. Any kind of escape, from what's going on, the problems right now, any vice, anything you can use right now, because not everyone, gonna, use playing sports, even just hanging out and, just watching the game, today's Sunday, football and, stuff like that. Just, just getting together, with your friends them and stuff, that can, that can help, even a phone call, you know. So I mean, because like Delroy say, we will talk about stuff or we revisit a time, where things was, a lot more easier than it might be right now in your mind. You just, it helped release that dopamine, in your
Yes.
brain, that help you, the dopamine, serotonin and stuff that help you, think, feel better
Yeah.
about stuff.
Um,
And you, and you,
Also,
and you mentioned that you guys both mentioned it, right? In when we were growing up, younger men, younger teenagers, hanging out with our friends was kind of one of the priorities that we had, right? We didn't have these,
Hmm.
well, smartphones,
mhm.
Hmm.
these things that kept us indoors or away. And then some, you know, 10 years younger than us generation, they grew up with that. So that's all they know. And so they isolate themselves and they're in this, isolation by themselves playing, Fortnite, whatever they
Mhm.
play. But they're missing that part of that connection with a physical person being out there playing sports, play dominoes, growing up, play football, and whatever we're involved in. And I think for us, that was a kind of uh, therapeutic for us.
Yeah,
You see,
the socializing, I think social
yeah.
media was intent to take the place of that, or, you know, or like, not really take the place, but like fill the void of that, because we live in such a busy world where most people are just busy, 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 busy.
Yeah.
You work, make time
Family
for
and
self-care. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, self-care, and that fall under self-care, taking care of yourself. What do you like? You know, we grew up, like you said, we used to like connecting with each other. We used to like playing sports. We used to like even just sit down and talk of foolishness for
Mm.
hours.
Yeah.
No, we don't have the time. The dynamics change as far as, the structure of your life, or we live life now. It's a hustle and bustle now. And as men, we are tasked with the provider role, and the provider role with the with that role, sometimes it brings anxiety, which we don't even know. So we have anxiety. But if you stay up, you know, a certain time worrying about the future,
Mm.
that is simply anxiety. May I say? Um, because you worry about how I'm gonna pay them bills, yeah. things gonna come in, and you don't even know what tomorrow might bring, So it kind of rob you of your peace, rob you of your joy, and like I mentioned before, that dopamine, without the dopamine, you know, um, you, you can't be happy. You can't think happy thoughts, you lose interest in stuff, you know.
Yep.
Those are signs of, of depression and stuff.
Absolutely.
We are physical beings, really and truly. We are made to connect with each other. So
Hmm.
basically, that's one of the reasons why when that piece is missing, it can really have severe effect on us. Yeah.
Hmm.
Socialization is the key.
Yes.
The cell phone cannot take that away.
But the
Um,
pandemic showed us that the other day, right?
yes.
Yeah.
See, so that is what is expected, from us. This idea that because one of the things that also affects some of us men is that, oh, I am the man of the house. I'm supposed to be the provider, and I'm supposed to be, what I'm saying? Yes, you're the man of the house. You're not supposed to be only the provider. You're supposed to be the protector.
Hmm.
So strive to not only, okay, I have to earn more salary than my wife or by my partner, but strive to make sure that as there's this pastor once said, he said, when I found out that my wife was making more money than me, I came home, I made sure the dishes were washed, the carpet was vacuumed. You know what I'm saying? He came home and he took care of things so that they could spend time together. This idea that I have to earn more money, I have to have a car, I have to have this, I have to have this. No, one of the things that will help us as men actually is to be content.
Mhm.
Contentment goes a long way, because
Uh-huh.
if you are not contented, that will send you into that will cause depression, and that will hurt.
Oh yeah.
So you have to be
Oh yeah.
careful.
It's funny you said that about the pastor saying that, but I know this conversation we're having, about men and men's health and stuff like that. We generally speaking to a age group, which is our group, and certain age, because the gender, the gender roles have been blurred. So now more you see more man, we see more stuff like that. Michael, that was one of the tangents I was talking about.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, so let's get back to
Yeah,
what
we
we are
get
talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah, and yeah, we just want to yeah, as we wrap up, I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for the discussion. We have got a lot out of this, and then basically, as men, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to
Yes.
check up on our other fellow men,
Hmm.
or families too, and find that some people call it the sweet spot. What is your sweet spot? My sweet spot
Before
is
you finish, let me say something about that.
yeah.
We as men, when you check most companies on the vacation grid each year, most of us men don't take vacation. We need to stop.
Hmm.
We need to stop. Most of
Yeah.
you know how many hours go back to the company each year? For example, a gentleman retired from my job. He returned over 900 hours in sick time. He never took a day sick in his life.
Mm. Yeah.
We need to take time out,
Hmm.
take some time off and spend time with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Find something
yeah.
to do with it.
What I do every year, I take a week for myself, and my week, no family, no wife, just my week. And I do
Hmm.
what I want legally, of course. Right? And that's my week. There's vacation with family. And if I don't feel well one morning, I get up and say, I'm not feel, I'm not going to work. So sick days, I'm not returning that to the company. They're there for a reason.
Yes.
Want to use them, don't abuse them, but use them
Hmm.
1 month. That's good.
Hmm.
Go get a massage. Go, go do something. Go play some golf. But it's just taking that time out
Hmm.
to self-care, as Jimmy D put it. Yeah,
Yeah,
self-care.
that mental health day,
Yeah,
you
mental
need
health.
that
Yes,
mental
that's
health.
but actually my wife love that expression. She's
Oh
taking a
yeah.
mental health day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's what you have to do. And as I said, gentlemen, I want to thank you for the discussion. Truly informative, and it's good that we can have this discussion at least recorded for the podcast here. And I'm going to encourage those watching this to check up on your friends, check up on your male friends, ask them what they're feeling, or ask them what's
Mhm.
happening, and dig deep, probe, because we don't know what's going on in our minds, and it leads to other things. But we want everybody to have a good mental health and to foster good mental health. So, gentlemen, any last and final words as we close off this podcast for this session?
Hopefully we'll have a part two to this, because
Yeah.
this is a good. Hopefully we'll have a part two. This is
Yeah.
a good conversation,
Yeah.
and as I said, as men, you need to connect. We need to connect with each other.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? That will help us with our mental health. You know what I'm saying? Connection is the. We are social beings. We need to connect with each other.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And take care of yourselves, because you can't take care of nobody else if you're not okay. So
Exactly.
so make sure, say, on the mentally, all right.
Thank
Okay.
you. Good word, gentlemen. Well, that's it for us. Until next time, thank you very much.